But so that you always... Are we on already?
What do you mean, are we on?
We didn't do the elevator yet. I'm ready to ask questions. See? Can we do it properly?
I haven't started yet.
See,
I'm just rambling right now.
Okay.
I'm getting all the...
I'm going to hold my question back for a second.
Yeah, because I have a question about that, too.
You ready?
Yes, Diana, since you want to...
This is going to be spicy.
Everyone has a unique gift, and Mike and Diana, host of the One Life podcast, believe that most people don't know how to use their
she's
gifts
the boss
or
of the
what
show,
they
too.
are. Mike and Diana want you to see things from a different perspective and be true to yourself. The One Life podcast unites the world through art, fashion, music, and film. It inspires, motivates, and creates positive energy, love, and compassion to all communities, and creates an equal playing field
Yes,
for
thank you
all.
for that.
On the One Life
You're welcome.
podcast,
It was
they
making
cover
my
topics
car
like
smell really
building
good.
relationships,
Like a pink
overcoming
flower.
adversity, habits of
like
healthy
that.
people,
Right
and
to
much,
that?
much more. We only have one life to live. Be yourself and live your truth. Add the One Life podcast to your playlist. That's the number 1NELife. Available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and your favorite podcast platform.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the One Life Podcast. I am Mike Reed, and as always, I have my lovely co-host, the lovely Diana from Socialholic in the building, you guys. And we're in the building, and we're going to the elevator. In the lobby, we have Danny Alexander Interiors with us. And we are, guess where we're heading today? We're heading to the top floor with Danny to discuss why our interior spaces should not only look good, but feel good, and how it has an emotional effect on our well-being.
Yes, absolutely.
I really believe that, and I feel that with my house as well. But anyways, we're gonna.
We got to go help him today.
Yeah, we got. I need help. I need help.
I'm coming
But-
over after this.
But first, we're gonna check in with Diana with the Socialholic Experience. Tell us what's going on in the AV, Diana.
All right, so a couple events I have not posted yet on Socialholic, but this
They don't have to go out today, though.
No, this
Okay,
Saturday, August 13th, so tomorrow, is the grand opening Club VIP. It's on the 848 Lancaster Boulevard. It's some kind of club going on. So I thought I'd put that out there. Ladies are free before 11 p.m. It's off of VIP_Saturdays_AV, so check it out. Let's see what else. Oh, and they have bottle service. What? The next one I wanted to talk about was the live Sunday sessions at Bravery Brewing. They play funk, jazz, soul. It's the first Sunday of every month from 3 to 6 p.m. So the first one coming up is August 14th, this Sunday. So if you like funk, if you like jazz, if you like soul, that is the place to be. And then, last but not least, do not forget about our Sip and Shop at Sassy coming up. It is just for ladies, y'all. Sorry.
We need to have a discussion about this,
Let me get
Miss Amanda.
Wait, no, because I like that it's for ladies.
No, you guys just had an event over there the other day with just ladies, and
So
I looked at the
what?
video and I saw two guys in there. I was very
the real
disappointed.
estate?
Yeah.
It didn't say it was just ladies.
Well, it said it was some women's
It's the
thing.
AV Women's
See
Real
what I'm saying?
Estate.
They confuse us. They confuse
I
us.
just Women's Real Estate Council. Something.
Yeah.
It's amazing, but they welcome everybody, and they love it when men
I
support.
would have loved to go there.
Well,
I didn't get an invite. So, Gabby, we need to talk about that.
and that's not my fault. And you saw, there's a bunch of it. So, anyways, that's coming up this coming Thursday from 5 p.m. I think. Just message me. I have all the details. I'm a model, so I'm really excited.
Hey, you know what you're wearing?
No, but we get to go try on the clothes, I think, on Tuesday. Or Monday. I go try on the
nice.
clothes and pretend to walk and see if I'm comfortable. And then Thursday's the show. And you get to shop and sip and...
I'm going to sit in the parking lot and watch from the windows.
Ew, creepers. That's weird.
I'm just playing.
On the wavelengths here. Those are the 3 dates for this coming week. I'm so excited. There's so many more events, but there's only so much time I get to talk about stuff. So.
All right. That's good. Today's episode is sponsored by Eventually Events, where they create magical moments and take care of every detail so you can enjoy that special time in your life. To book your appointment, please check out their IG at Eventually Events and their phone number. What is their phone number?
949-544-9184.
All right, y'all. So that is it. So today's topic is changing people's view one room at a time. And we have the lovely Danny with Danny Alexander Interiors with us today. How you doing?
I'm so good. I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy to be here.
Well, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you.
You said you've never been on a podcast, right?
Never been on a podcast.
Have you ever wanted to?
I think I've thought about it, but it's just been like a little out of my comfort zone. So when you reached out, I was like, okay,
Sure. Let's try this.
we'll give it a try. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to see how it goes.
And it's crazy because I'm excited today. So we can finally tell them because since we're here, right? No?
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I'm just kidding. It was a joke. Guess what, y'all?
Guess what? What? We are finally in the Hollywood Workroom Studios that presents the One Life podcast, you guys, and I'm excited about this. I know it's just a blank wall. You guys can only see a blank wall right now, but we're actually going to be making it into a full-out recording studio, and it's going to be amazing. So everybody in the Antelope Valley, you guys watch out. We coming.
I'm coming for you.
And it's kind of crazy
Everybody
that
on this podcast.
Danny is here with us. She's an interior designer.
And she
And it's
doesn't
the
judge
first
us.
show. Yeah.
I'm not judging. I'm not judging.
And so I want to know how, because I'm in the film industry. I've been in the film for over 30 years, right, as a film producer. And I can't watch TV without judging.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's different. Like we were talking about before, if I'm going into somebody's home, I'm not judging because I think, first of all, what somebody loves is going to be different from what somebody else
Right.
loves. And so one thing that I like never push on my clients is like if they really love something, I'm not going to make them get rid of it, even if I think it's like the most hideous thing in the world.
You'll find a spot for it.
Yeah, because like I said, like it's an emotional thing for them if they have like a piece that was passed down or something like that. So I just feel like if I'm going into somebody's home and they love it, I can't like judge it
Right.
because it doesn't have anything to do with me.
Right. It's about them and their feelings. And like you said, it's connected to them somehow.
Yeah, and sometimes, people, design is not something that everybody cares about.
Yeah.
It's just not. So, to me it's very important and I want things to like feel good and I want them to look good. But somebody else, they may just want to have furniture to sit on and that's perfectly okay.
What got you into interior design?
So when I was in high school, I was trying to figure out like what I'm going to do. And I knew I wanted to do something artistic, but I didn't want to do like art, like painting or anything like that. And so I just started like researching. I ended up taking a design class and then I just fell in love with it. And then it was so different from what I thought it was when I actually got to school. A lot of people don't know this, but my program that I took, it's a design program, but it's actually interior architecture.
Oh.
So designers are actually learning a lot of things that align with what people in an architecture program are learning. It's not just like you learn how to pick out sofas, like it's like mixing patterns and understanding what like the emotions are behind a color, knowing like appropriate layouts for different spaces. It's a very, very intense program. And that was really cool to me when I got there and I realized like it was so much more than decor, because what's funny is I never wanted to do residential design. Like that was never in the plan. The plan was to do like bars, restaurants, hotels, and then I just kind of like stumbled into residential, which I actually ended up really liking. And then that kind of got me to where I am now. And I'm doing a little bit of commercial, a little bit of residential, but I probably do more residential than anything. So
Nice.
Why do you think that you like the residential more? Is like because it's more personal?
it's definitely more personal. So when I first graduated from college, I was working for a commercial design firm. And it was just very much like, do this. Like, I mean, obviously you have a job, like people are going to tell you to do things, but it wasn't emotional. There was no like connecting with people, which is something that I'm really good at. I wasn't able to like feel the emotions of the client or like ask them questions. It was like I was just this little worker bee that needed to like put something into AutoCAD or like do a tile drawing or something. So it wasn't like, it was fun, but it just wasn't like an experience for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I actually ended up leaving that job and working for a furniture store, which was never the plan, like in sales.
Oh, wow.
And so again, I had no residential design experience. When I was in school, all the projects were commercial except for one in 4 years. So 4-year design program, all commercial, one residential. So I really was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I started realizing that, it was a furniture store where you meet with people and you get into their homes. So you do like a free consultation basically. And so it was like really fun for me because I started like getting to know people and people like my personality, and we'd get to know each other and I would like know everything about them. And then would, ultimately try to sell them the furniture, which the sales part was not something that I liked or even was ever really very good at. But my clients always really loved me, and I also really loved like the mixing of like the fabrics and things like that. And I did work in a fabric store when I was in college, so it was just really good experience for me. I grew up a lot in that job. I learned, like, sounds so silly, but I was like 23. I learned how to like dress myself professionally and talk to people and all of that stuff. And so that's the job that led me to starting my business, because I'm like, I really like this. I really like working with people. I really like working with fabrics and furniture and layouts and doing all of these things directly with people instead of like being behind the scenes as just like a designer on staff. So it was a very different energy, and it gave me like a lot of confidence that I had never really had. And so then I just decided, like, I always joke that it was probably stupid, but I did it anyway. But I just decided one day, like, I'm gonna have my own business, and I just like quit my job. And it wasn't always great. Like, there were times where I had to go back to work, or I had to ask for help from family, or, you know, we all like go through those kinds of things. But ultimately now, like, I'm finally feel like I'm running, you know, a business that I really love, that is successful. And it's still really hard, and I'm still adjusting and learning what things are not working and what things are working, how to work with people, how to talk to people. And so it's, you know, I'm learning every single day.
So I have a question in that theory.
Sure.
Because I'm a designer. What?
Just kidding.
What?
I thought I was running the show.
I said I had a couple of questions.
Didn't you know Diana's asking all the questions?
Because she's a boss, I have to just throw mine in there, or I'll never get it in.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
And by the way, I'm about to go off trail real quick. I do have a question. No, I do have a question, but because I keep looking at you, and you're so casual today.
I know. I told her that. She's like, I got all dressed up, and I was like, and I dressed down. Like, I just came from an event, and I'm like exhausted, and I just wanted to be comfy.
So today was like, I'm just going casual, lovers and friends.
Yeah, you know that you gotta be well balanced.
I'm not mad at it though. It just threw me off because I keep looking at you. I'm like, and I thought about it. I was like, she's so dressed down today.
I'm casual, like probably 97% of the time.
Anyways, so back to my question. So working with people, because like I said, my background is graphic designs, right?
Oh,
so
amazing.
How do you deal with if you have a vision, like if someone hires you and they say, you know, I'm about to ask you, right? Every designer knows this, right? And they say, hey, I want to do this and that, and then you have this vision in your head, but then they fight you on it. It's like, look, you hired me because I'm a professional.
Yes.
Like, just do what I say.
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard. That's probably one of the hardest things.
Yeah.
I think it's a constant practice of like setting your ego aside. And explaining like what the emotional benefits are, maybe showing them like a visual, like a rendering or something, you know, so this is what you want to do, and I want to show you what this would look like, and then this is what I would do, and I want to show you what it would look like, because 9 times out of 10 they'll see it visually and they'll say, oh, because
Right.
I think what a lot of people do is they're Googling and they're on Pinterest and they're like looking at all these photos, and then when they show it to me, it's like, that's not practical for your space.
Right.
Do I want you to have it because you love it? Yes, but what if we did this instead? Like, what if we went in this direction? And sometimes people fight me on it, and sometimes it's hard, you know, but I just have to remind myself, like, it's not about my portfolio. It's not about what I want. It's about what they want. And I really do want people to love it. Like, that's the most important thing. But yeah, that ego, like, it's gonna, like, put it,
you know, for me, like, because so mine is graphically, right? So it's like billboards, posters, books, whatever, album, you know, whatever. So
Logos.
I'm always,
Logos.
Yeah, logo. So, but for me, it is I know you say you got to put your ego aside, but when someone says, "Hey, who did that?" my name is attached to it.
Oh, totally.
Right. So it's like because I've had a few customers in the past where it's like, I'm not going to do that because my name is attached to it,
100%.
and I know that's not going to come out right.
100%.
I know it's not. So
Yes.
I had to quit jobs because like I'm just not going to do that. Like, you got to have somebody else.
I think sometimes you do have to walk away, and that gets harder. Well, it's been hard for me in the past, but now it's a lot easier. And I think it's different. You know, when I was younger, it was a lot harder for me to sort of stand up for myself and say, like, this is what it needs to be. And I think definitely if I'm working on like a business project or something where I'm going to get like a lot of like press or something like that, it's definitely in the back of my mind. And I kind of have to find that balance. Like, I don't want to be a jerk,
right?
But I also want to be like, look, this is going to look terrible. Like, I don't know how else to say it. And so it's just a practice. Like, sometimes I do a really good job, and sometimes like dealing with people and guiding them through the process. And sometimes I do it and I look back on it and I'm like, I should not have said that thing, or I should not have done that way, or so it's like a constant like evolving for me as far as like working with people and being confident. And it's funny that you bring this up, because about 3 months ago, every single one of my clients was questioning me and my decisions. It was really weird. And I really like to look at that when the universe is like shoving things in my face like that. When it's like 5 or 6 clients that are calling me and they're like agonizing over choosing a sofa. Like, I don't want to be rude, but I'm also like, it's a sofa. Like, we need to calm down. Like, it's just like nobody's going to die if we choose the wrong sofa, you know? But it's just a constant practice in being more confident. And so I looked at myself. I'm like, what is happening here, Danny? Like, something is going on. All of these people are questioning your decisions. They're terrified of making the wrong decision. That's one thing that shows up a lot in my clients. You know, they're spending a lot of money, not only on me, but on the furniture, on the decor, on the paint, you know, on the professionals that are gonna pull it all together. And it's scary. And so I really like try to put myself in their shoes and be like, they're terrified of making the wrong decision. And then I ask myself, like, if this continues to show up in this way for me, I must be lacking confidence. Like, when I'm presenting it to them, even though I feel like I'm like putting on this, like I'm trying on confidence, you know what I mean? And like really like I'm confident. If they keep reflecting this to me, there must be something inside of me that is almost like asking for it, if that makes sense. So I was like meditating and journaling and like, you know, asking from help from like spirit over and over and just be like, please show me like what is happening. And when I really looked at myself, I realized like it's me. I still, after, you know, 9 years of being in business, still have moments where I question myself. And so if I can be more confident and really step into that and really look at myself and be like, Danny, you have a lot of experience. You've been through a lot of stuff, emotional stuff not even related to design, that has gotten you where you are. So if you can step up and really be confident and really share your gift in a confident way, these people will not question you. But because it kept showing up like that, it was like eventually I have to look at myself. Like I always tell people to do that. Like I was just talking to a friend about this yesterday. It's like, if people are questioning your decisions, look at yourself. If there's other things like maybe like you're not making a lot of money, and like, let me give you a really good example. Let's say that, because I've been through this before, let's say your clients are not paying you. Like they're waiting a long time. They're waiting until like it's past due, or you have to check in with them. Like, will you pay me? Will you pay me? Will you pay me? What in you doesn't feel worthy of that money? Because when it really comes down to it, it actually has nothing to do with the people that are not paying you. I think you look internally. If you can understand that you deserve to be paid and you've done a great job, people will pay you and it won't be hard. So I don't want to necessarily always make it my fault. I don't think about it like that, but I think that everything starts with you and your energy. And if you can like turn the mirror in on yourself and see like this pattern keeps happening in my life over and over and over and over again. Like, what 100%. Is my responsibility in this pattern? Exactly. It's like, it's undeniable at some point. It's like when things keep happening and you're like, really? Like, I'm dealing with this again. Almost, you know, 9 times out of 10, I can journal about it or just really like reflect and look at it. And it almost always comes down to me. And then when I'm able to sort of shift that energy, everybody around me starts like acting like they're supposed to.
You know, when
it sounds crazy, but like, you know.
No, you're right, because when I first started working in the TV film, I actually had a graphic design company like maybe 8 years prior to that. So when I started working in film, my executive, who's one of my mentors, he taught me that I had to start producing people, right? So even with like a lot of my clients in the industry, I had repeat clients all the time. So I kind of gotten to know my clients, and 9 times out of 10, every time I did something, they would always have me change it like 6 or 7 times. And then guess what? They always had me pick that first one.
Oh,
let's go back to the original. Oh my, right? But I had to learn how to do that, right?
Yes.
And so from that moment on, and that's what he was trying to tell me, you got to produce them. So now from that moment on, when I realized that, I started doing designs. Like, so I'll give everybody like maybe 5 or 6 different looks of something. Like I said, logo, right?
Yes.
But I'll make the first 5 look like whatever. To where I'm guiding them to pick the one I want.
Got it.
That 6th one is the one I want. And
it's like very obvious.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you got to pick this one.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
You know, it's like producing people. So that's, I mean, I know that's probably easier in my line of work, but.
I don't know. It's similar. I mean, that happens all the time. Like they want to change, like what happens a lot is I've learned that like I'll send over like some concept ideas or something, and somebody will look at it and they'll say I love it, and then I maybe leave them alone for like 3 days, and then they start like the wheels start turning. They're like, what if we try this? And I found this lighting, and they start getting involved, which can be really hard, like to kind of take the back charge of the project. And it's not that I don't want them to be involved, but people, like I say this in the nicest way, like people don't always know what they're doing, like it's, because that's why they hired me. And so what will happen a lot of times is we make a lot of changes, and then they're like upset because they don't like it anymore. So I just always have to sort of like guide people. And like you said, like it's sort of like I'm not just design, it's like you're paying me to manage you and like make sure that we're staying on track.
Well, because like you said, if you give them too much time, they overthinking it at that point.
Totally.
That's why I always tell people just sleep on it, see if you wake up in the morning, they're like, we getting back to it. Like, because if you give them too much time, they're going to start overthinking it.
Yes.
Like you said, they're going to say, oh, well, I found this, well, I found that. And it's like, okay, let's go back to the basics, back to the original plan. You know?
Yes. And one thing about design, or like let's just use like a living room, for example, like if I send over a design, they'll love it when they look at it, but then they start looking at the individual pieces and they're like, oh, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that. And they start like picking it apart, and it's like, the individual item, it's not that I don't want you to like it, but I don't need you to love every individual item, because it's what it looks like together.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's one piece, like design as a unit. That's why people often come to me because they've tried like, oh, I worked on this corner, or I picked the paint color, I picked the sofa, and then they can't get it to all work together because they picked it individually. But what you get when you work with a designer is we can see the whole thing often before we pull it together. It's like in my head, I already can see like what the paint color looks like with the sofa, with the pillows, with the lighting. And so when you get really hung up on individual items, it does not serve you and it does not serve the space. And so it's just, you gotta guide people, back and remind them like, we don't need to obsess about this item because it's not about the item. It's actually about the whole space. It's like, I say like design is an art and a science, and you need to have that like perfect balance. And if you start switching out items for, like if you send me something like, oh, I saw this chair and it's amazing, we put in the design and you don't like it, well, that makes sense that you don't like it because it was picked outside of the unit. And that doesn't mean that people can't have like revisions. Like I will work with people, like a lot of designers will say like, you get 3 revisions, you get no more. I'm not gonna do that which is hard, because sometimes my boundaries are stretched and I feel like I'm being taken advantage of every once in a while. But ultimately, like if I have this strict boundary where I'm like, well, I gave you 3 sofa options and you can't have 4, it's like, that's not a good experience.
Right. No,
like, and it really just comes back to me and my confidence and me guiding them in the correct direction. Hopefully I answered your question, because I went on a little bit of a tangent there. Okay.
Do you feel that the reason why it becomes an inner battle for you, do you feel like you deal with like imposter syndrome?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
I think that's as an artist, though, I think that's something that, because we're creative people and we, we're sensitive, it's art. That's art. That's a piece of us in our designs. So the little fun fact is the reason why I think we connected so well. First of all, Gabby from our team is why we met.
Thank you, Gabby.
Thank you, Gabby. But we met for coffee, and our stories are very similar. Like I worked at a furniture store. I've sold, curtains, and I went to interior design and all that fun stuff. But I went a different direction and went into weddings and event design. But I think as a creative person, that's our outlet. That's a piece of us. And it's so hard not to take it personal, to not feel like you're attacking me because it's a part of me.
Oh my gosh, that is such, like, I have chills because it's so accurate. Not just imposter syndrome, but like just in general, like not believing in yourself, or like not, like it's taken me years and years of like deep healing work to really be like, okay, Danny, like you're good at this. You deserve to be paid for this. And also it's never good enough for me. Like it does not matter what project it is. Like there's always something I'm like, that needs to be hung higher, or like that was a little the wrong color, or there's so many like little elements that I'm probably never going to be like fully happy with it because I have such high standards. So I think as creatives, like we don't let ourselves win. Like we never let ourselves like, oh, I nailed that. So I've been like really working on that the last couple of years. Like, people tell us like we're good at things. Like I'm sure people tell you like, oh my gosh, you're such a good like wedding planner or designer or whatever it is, and you never really hear it. It like goes in one ear and out the other. Like,
I'm
you
not
never
done
let
yet.
yourself.
I'm not done yet.
No.
Like, that's nothing. Once I accomplish a goal, I'm always looking for the next 5 goals. And people are like, can you just sit your ass down and fucking relax? And I'm like, I can't. Like, I'm a perfectionist. I have OCD. I have ADD. All these issues as an artist. Yeah. And, you know, I worked in flower design. And I'm like the person that has to put the freaking flower in the right perfect spot. And people are like, no one cares. I'm like, I care.
It feels very important.
It does.
Like, and it feels very personal. And that's why working with clients can be hard sometimes because... and that's a big thing for me. Like, as I started getting busier, it's like, oh my gosh, there's all these people to disappoint. Like, all of a sudden I have all of these people at one time. I'm like trying to hold up all these plates. And the last couple of months, it's been like, sometimes I do mess up and I make a mistake, or I don't handle a client the right way, or I drop a ball, I promise something and then I forget. You know, those things happen, and it's actually been a good thing and a blessing because I've been able to own up and say, I did mess that up. Instead of like in the past, maybe not necessarily not taking credit for a mistake, but just being afraid to be like, I did mess that up. I did do that. And so
the response is so different though when you own it. When you own that, like, you know what, man, I fucked up. I'm really sorry. Like, let me try to fix it, or, you know, whatever it is. They can't get too mad when you are genuinely apologetic and you're like,
and everybody's been like very nice. Like, once you really say like, and it could be something little. It could be like, I promised it on Friday and I got it to them the following Wednesday. And it's like, I'm really sorry. Like, I'm a human. I'm still trying to figure out, you know, how long these things take. And I'm balancing a lot of things. So, it's just been like a constant for me, like forgiveness of myself, because it's never going to be good enough in my eyes.
I think clients forget, though, especially when you have your own business and as an entrepreneur, they forget we're people. They forget that we have lives outside of our business. They look at us like our business. Oh, we are, like, for me, I'm walking Eventually Events. You're walking, you know, Danny Alexander Interior Design. But it turns off at some point, and it needs to. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we take it home and I'll be on my phone until 2 o'clock in the morning doing stuff, sending emails that will be sent at 8 a.m. so I know it's done. You know, I have a lot of friends that are like that, and I feel like we have to find our way to detach just for a moment for our own mental health. Because if not, once we go spiraling, everybody's going to be affected. It's really hard. So
I think, like, for me, I learned how to do that real fast and real quick, just being in television, because
he's out.
I'm speaking of like making a mistake and being okay with it, right? I had to accept that, because in film, like, things, they move very fast, right? And I'm pretty sure in weddings, like you have a deadline, right? The wedding is coming up tomorrow. So I'm pretty sure there's been like some weddings where you had to mask some stuff where you wouldn't have probably done that if you had a week, but you had literally hours and you had to mask something, but no one knew, right? Because I actually had that experience. Right, well, yeah. But I mean, because I actually had this experience, and this happened like 20 years ago, and it still sticks with me to today, because I was working on a set, and one of my colleagues was editing something, and this door on set was left open, right? And he was like he said, close the door. And I was like, well, one, it's too late. We already shot it, right? So I was trying to edit it and make it look like I put a curtain behind the door so you couldn't see, like, backstage, right? So I did that, and he was like, that don't look right. Like, he was trying to take me to do some stuff. And I was like, first of all, the audience is never going to know. They're not going to look past that door. They're not even going to know if the door is supposed to be open or not. So, you know, little things. And I was right. He was like, but I know. I said,
it's like killing you on the inside.
You don't count. Like, you're here working on it with me because you know, but you know what I mean?
Be on those bloopers.
It's one of those little things.
The circle of things that were wrong in filming. You know,
yeah, but no one, the viewers, they don't know. No. That's why I said when I watch TV, like, I pick up on things, right? But something like that, the viewer would never know. And I was on a timeline and it had to get done. I was like, dude, I don't have another minute to waste on this, right? So I had to get it done, right? But he kept, like, he was literally mad at me. He was super mad because he was working on the project with me, and I was like, dude, it's okay. Like,
but that's why you're so, like, when we did Socialholic, you were so, like, more content is better than less, because you can always fill in. Because I remember when we were doing the shoot, he was like, you need to do more,
Yeah.
do more. Because if something is missing, we have it.
Yeah, I have something to go to
fill
or
or something.
feel, or I have something to work with.
So
Like,
it's like that's the professional. You
Yeah.
learn from that, and you're like, I need extra footage
yeah,
just in case.
Just in case.
Get that again, just in case it's wrong or something. So, and I think what's so key is like it's our eye. Like I don't know about you.
Yes.
But like when I'm doing weddings,
It's
and I talked
always on.
about this at the last podcast, like I noticed like the smallest, like the napkins are hanging crooked a little bit. It drives me insane because I know that it's going to be photographed and I'm going to see it for the rest of my life.
It's a blessing
And
and a curse.
yes, it is. And like I was saying, when I go in someone's house for interior design part, like I'm the one that fixes the pictures, make it straight, or I'm the one that's like, you know what I would do in this room, or something. And it's restaurants, same thing. I'm just
Oh my
like,
gosh.
Oh, wait, why you don't like my crosses though?
because they're not yours.
They are mine.
You told me they were somebody else's.
No, we got them together when we was
You
traveling.
need to sanitize your house. You need to. Do you personalize the house
But
from some people?
I get that, but
I didn't
like,
know they were yours too. I thought they were hers. You said she had a thing for crosses. So
oh
that to
no,
me
but I did
made
too though.
sense.
I mean, like you see, I got crosses everywhere.
Okay.
Like,
well, I would restage them somewhere then.
oh, okay, not so many.
No,
I have
but
this wall in my house, right above one of my fireplaces. I have two fireplaces. So in my living room,
Humble brag.
I know that was like I had two.
I have
fireplaces.
two fireplaces.
I have three. They're not
well,
all built in, but they're there.
technically, I have three too if you want to count my bedroom. but-
Oh my gosh.
How many do you
But-
have? Are we having a fireplace contest right now?
I have one fireplace.
Okay, anyways, so I have in my living room. That's why you choking us, God.
No, it's you. I'm laughing at you.
In my living room, above my mantle, I have this wall just full of crosses. That every time we went, it was my ex. Every
It's
time
in
we
the
went
podcast.
somewhere,
She can go back on Jonathan's podcast or someone's podcast. It's right there.
I'm just explaining
Okay,
like what the crosses was. Like they're different crosses from
I'll
like
go get the tea. I don't
we went to
don't-
Mexico or wherever we went. Like we
You
just
got across.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and they all like different. They like one cross is
Souvenirs, husband and wife.
Anyways.
So cute. I would restage them somewhere else.
they don't look nice. Where they at?
No.
Okay, so wait a minute. So like
The
wait a
ball
minute
is on this one.
because it's my ex.
I just think you need to change.
No, is it because my? So what if I traveled personally and I got him? Would it have been nice?
There's like 30.
That's a lot.
It is a lot,
I would-
but they're all different
I
sizes.
would-
They're all different sizes.
I mean, if it means, we talked about this earlier, if it means something to you
I would
and it gives
restage
you
them.
like the warm fuzzies, then
I mean, I just like
I would
crosses.
restage it.
And you know what? Because it's the artist in me. Because they're all handmade. So it's the creativity of it. Like I was like, oh wow, that's nice. Like I like that. They're not some like
Some
cheap
people
plastic
collect coffee
thing.
mugs. Some people collect shot glasses. Mike collects crosses.
I do. I love God. Hey,
there you go.
I'm here because of Him. You're running the show. Go ahead.
Apparently, I'm not, Mr. Multiple Fireplaces. We have great
Two.
chemistry.
Yes. Yes, we do.
I don't know why I
I
said
said it was
that.
going to be spicy.
I don't know
before we
why I
started.
said that.
What,
I-
like the point of the whole thing?
No, my fireplace. Like why I had
Oh.
to say like my too. Like, I
Because
don't
we,
know why I said
internally, you need to tell people. I got 2 fireplaces.
I'm cooler than you.
that. No, it's not that.
So when I get cold, I got 2 fireplaces.
It's not that. No, it wasn't that. I don't know why I said it. It just kind of this came out.
That's just like a nice little extra detail that you wanted to share.
How many living rooms do you have? Let's say that too. Let's talk about that.
I have one living room and one family room. How about that? And it had and only the family room has furniture. You know that my living room has no furniture in it.
I know that's Casper's room. You have dogs?
I
No,
have
Casper
2
has.
cats.
Cats.
Casper actually has his own bedroom.
Child.
Yeah, he does.
He's living the life.
He is. He
He's
has his own
I
bed,
would love a dog.
memory foam bed. Like he has his own bed.
Why no dog?
I just can't talk Mason into it.
Mason. What's
You're
wrong
in
with
trouble,
you?
Mason. Well,
People don't like dogs. Something's
Honestly,
wrong.
Love dogs.
Just kidding.
our cat, no, he loves dogs, but he's afraid to like get a dog because we have 2 cats, and they're like the highest maintenance. Like you would never know that they were cats. Like they wake us up at like 3:30 in the morning, meowing. Like I have to go downstairs and feed them and then go back to bed every morning. So like if I go to bed at midnight, it's like I have to wake up. You allow them
to train you?
I mean, what am I? They literally, one of them will punch me in the face, and I'm not joking. Like he will slap me in the face.
So they won't go for that food thing that guy goes off at 3 in the morning and feeds them?
Well, that would be dry food, and this is like not what I expected to talk about on this podcast.
They bougie cats.
But one of them has a little bit of a weight problem, and he cannot have dry food. So we're bougie, and he has wet food. I have to like
but is
spoon
it a
it out
special
of the thing.
food?
No, he used to be on diet food, but he's not anymore. Yeah. So anyway, I have to get up in the morning and open the can, scoop it out.
You're such a good cat mom.
I know.
So he has to see all that. Is it a he?
Yeah,
He has to see
we have
all
a
that.
boy and a girl.
Okay, so he has to see all that.
Yeah. And sometimes he'll wake me up like earlier than that, and I'm like, no, we're sleeping for at least 30 more minutes. Can't handle this.
Jeez, man.
If you close the door, they cry outside the door. They play fetch. Like, I'm not joking. They play fetch. So we basically have a dog.
Well, that's hilarious.
But I would like a dog
Your
one
cats
day.
have humans. Let's say that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Totally.
You guys should have a TikTok page with that.
Oh, my gosh.
Especially if they're playing fetch. That's cute.
They're like they have little personalities for sure.
Isn't it great? Like I have a stupid dog and I have a really smart dog. And I love my really smart dog. My stupid dog, I just told
Wait,
you
which
I
one
love
is
you
which?
and I hate you.
Because all I know is the
stupid
nice
dog.
one and the killer.
Yeah.
She has a killer dog.
He's the stupid dog. Yeah, he's dumb.
Look, the other day he sniffed me.
He had a muzzle on.
He had a muzzle on because you can't be around people without a muzzle. That should tell you right there he's a killer.
Yeah.
So he sniffed me, right? And I was like, oh, okay, he cool. And her husband, Mike, had him on a leash. So he sniffed me, and then he tried to turn, then he jumped at me.
Oh, my
Like to attack him.
God.
I was like, oh, my God.
Well, it's funny that you
Wow.
say that because we have 2. One's name is Kitty and one's name is Goose. We're
Kitty
very
and
creative
Goose.
with our name
Is
choices.
Goose from like Top Gun?
Yes. Well, okay. It's actually from the Marvel movie that, of course, now that I'm on the spot, I can't think of it. Like, it's technically from Top Gun, but I didn't think about it until I saw the movie where they named the cat Goose. And then I was like, oh my gosh, we have to name, because we're about to get a kitten. We have to name it Goose. But Kitty is like, she's wild. She's calmed down a lot, but like she'll swipe at you, like if she's cranky or like we had,
So you get their feet when you're walking?
yeah, like she'll do stuff like that sometimes. Or like she'll leap at you. It's so weird. I don't know how, like, because I've had her since she was a baby, and I don't feel like there was any like traumatic experiences or anything, but like she's crazy. What did I do? But she's calmed down a lot. But my dad is staying with us, like he's in town for a little while, and the other day he's like, I came out of my room and she was sitting there in the dark. I saw this like figure in the dark, and then she leapt at me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Is she? What color is she?
She's like tortoiseshell, which they are apparently notorious for having really bad attitudes. So that's her. But she loves me. I can do no wrong. Like I can pick her up.
Oh, that's
and
like Diana.
Did you get that on video? I got that on tape. I can do no wrong.
Oh my gosh! But they're both sweet.
Daggers.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better. So. He's ready after the fireplace comment or the cross comment.
He started. I'm all about honesty. You know, you ain't gotta fake the funk with me. Life's too short.
Anyway, so back to
So I want to know. We always ask this question.
okay.
Well, I know you weren't not originally from here
Yes.
because we're from Orange County. But like, why like where it got you here to AV interior design here? The story here.
So
I know the story, but let's tell the audience.
so you want like the whole background?
I don't know the story.
So grew up in Dallas, and for anybody who knows that area, next to Dallas is Fort Worth. And so me and Mason, I think we've been together almost 7 years now. So when we met, we moved to Fort Worth together because he'd gotten a new job. And then they called and they were like, you can go to Florida or you can go to California. Like, we're going to transfer you. Where do you want to go? And we were both like, we want to go to California. And so this was Palmdale, Lancaster was the California that he was going to be moving to. And
like, what happened? It's Joshua trees.
oh my gosh, I love Joshua trees.
Okay, good.
I really do. I don't know what it is. I think they're so cool. And palm trees. Like, I think it's so cool.
So you should have went to like Palm Springs.
I know. this was never the plan, like, to be here. Like, we never thought that would happen. But I always knew I never wanted to live in the same place my whole life. And to be honest, we probably won't live here. Like, I think we're probably going to do like 2 or 3 more years. And then we're getting married next year. So we don't want to move the same year that we're getting married.
I don't know why. That's a lot of stress.
Yeah, it's a lot. And we don't know where we're going to move or if he's going to stay at the same job or what we're going to do. But yeah, within the first week of moving here, this is the story, I almost went blind within the first week of moving here. So it's a long story, but I'll try to summarize it. So I had been having like a lot of headaches, migraines when we were back in Dallas or in Fort Worth. And I was kind of like in denial. Like, I thought it was fine. Like, the women in my family have always had migraines. It started for them later in life, like when they were like 25, 26. And I think at this point I was like 28. So I'm like, oh, that's probably what it is. But I was having them like every single day, and like Advil like wouldn't touch it, like it wouldn't touch it. But I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, it'll go away, it'll be fine. And then we moved here and I woke up one day and I like could not see. It wasn't like my vision was not completely gone. But it was really very much blurry, and like there was like big holes, almost like black patches, and so I still was in denial at this point. I'm like, it's probably just because I haven't been wearing the right prescription, like I haven't been taking care of my eyes, I've been to the eye doctor. And so I went to one of those, like at the AV mall, I went to the just like the place you walk in and like you can get glasses or whatever. And so they're like doing the tests, and then
lens crafter or something.
Yes. I don't know why I didn't like try to go to regular doctor, like an eye doctor, like a specialist. But at this point, I just thought like I needed a new prescription. But what had actually happened to get me in there was we had gone to Universal Studios. So it's like our first week here. We're super excited. Had a friend in town. Go to Universal Studios, and if you've been there, there's like the Harry Potter ride where you like go underground and it's really dark. Oh, yeah. And so we step in there, and Mason's walking in front of me, and I'm like, Mason, I can't see. And he's always had like worn glasses and had terrible vision. So he's like, I can't see. And I'm like, no, literally, like I cannot see. I cannot see anything. I need you to like hold my hand and pull me. And so that's when I really was like, okay, Danny, like we're not messing around anymore. Like, you need to go to the doctor. And so then, I walked into one of those places, and they had done some tests, like they did like the color blindness test. And she was like, honey, I think you're colorblind. And I'm like, my profession, pretty much, maybe people have been lying to me this whole time. And I've been doing a really bad job. Right. And so I'm like panicking, and the doctor comes in and he sits me down, and he gets like this very like serious look on his face, and he's like, so based on the photos we took of your eye, you have something pressing on your brain. And it's really important that you go to the doctor like yesterday, like it's that you go now. And at that time, I had no insurance. We had just moved here. I'm working for myself. And so I'm freaking out. Thank God my grandparents were able to kind of like jump in and help me get some of the basic like serious tests like MRI and things like that, which I'll be forever grateful for. So long story short, got a bunch of tests to rule some things out. They didn't find anything. And what it ultimately ended up being is something called pseudotumor cerebri, which translates to fake tumor. So what that means is my brain and body react as if I have a tumor, but I don't have one. So what happens is your spinal fluid raises in your brain. So I have too much fluid, like more fluid than we need in our brain. So that pushes on your optic nerves, and it was pushing on them so hard that it was like my vision was not, was very, very, very blurry. And so there's a lot of questions around what really causes it. A lot of times it's kind of like a diagnosis on the way to another diagnosis. Like some people end up having like something else, like along the lines like autoimmune or something like that. But once we ruled out that I didn't have a tumor, we obviously felt a lot better. Because there was like a solid, that's the worst part about going through the kind of medical stuff like that is anytime you need an answer for something, it takes like a week. Right. So like you take the MRI and then it takes a week to find out. And so there was at one point where I remember like I was sitting on my patio and I was like, Danny, like I was kind of talking to myself. I'm like, it's very possible that you might die. Because we didn't at that point, like we didn't know if it was like a tumor, if it was like they're going to rush me to surgery. Like we had no idea what was going on. So that was definitely like a turning point in my life was like something shifted in me where I was like, this is very serious. And so when I found out it was something that was not necessarily treatable, but something that wasn't going to like kill me. It was like a life-changing, like empowering sort of experience.
Did it change like, I'm sorry, my mic went out. Okay. Did it change like your entire, like, you know, people say when they face death, they end up having all these things they have to do, like a bucket list.
Yeah, I think it was more of like I have to live my purpose.
Okay.
Like it was less like individual things, but it was like I'm made for more and I need to stop pretending like I'm not.
Right.
I need to stop like being so scared of like other people's opinions or like making a mistake. Right. And that didn't go away. It wasn't like overnight I was like, I don't care, like judge me. Like it wasn't like that at all. But it started like with little things. Like I started to see like some areas of my life where I was out of integrity. And so I kind of was like working on that. And then, you know, they told me this is a weight issue. Like at the time, they're like, if you just lose weight, like it will go away. And I'm still skeptical of that. Like I did lose a lot of weight and it didn't necessarily go away. The real changes happened when I started working on the emotional. Like I started going to healing sessions with my mentor and, you know, like therapy and like resting and loving myself and looking at the childhood trauma. And, you know, there's like so much I could say here. But that's when, like within 3 months of really doing the healing work and doing all of those different modalities, that's when I went in and they were like, your vision is safe. You're in the clear. You're good to go. And so I still like wonder if maybe it's a little bit weight related, but I think in general for me, it was like embracing my intuitive gifts that like I grew up with, that I had for so many years, that I was kind of like pushing down, letting myself really like connect with people, be vulnerable. Like it was, I think like all disease is like that. Like it's emotional. Like the best thing you can ever do is like take care of yourself and work on all of those little things that like may have happened to you when you were younger or things that you experienced. And so I just realized one day I kept going to the doctor, and eventually I just stopped going to the doctor because it was like they were looking at all these individual symptoms and they weren't helping me. And as much as angry as that made me and as upset, like sad as it made me, it was kind of that like enough is enough point. And I'm like, I have to find an alternate way to do this because I'm not being heard. And I even owned up, I'm like so proud of myself, but at one doctor's appointment, I'm like, you're not listening to me and I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this anymore. And that was very hard for me. You know, I've been a people pleaser my whole life. So me just even saying like, I am not doing this anymore. And being comfortable walking away from doctors and saying like, I'm going to really look at this. I'm going to, you know, be more spiritual. I'm going to be more trusting. I'm going to lean into like faith. And it was just like everything shifted for me. Like it was like a complete shift. And I just started having better relationships with clients, you know, making more money, like all of these things, like from looking at like the childhood trauma and like all of these things, it was like, it wasn't just I healed myself. It was like so much deeper than that. Like things in my life started working, like my relationships got better.
So technically, you started really doing the law of attractions.
Yes.
And you know, there's 12 law of attractions. A lot of people just only know about the one because of the movie The Secret. But there's really 12 laws of attractions, and you started implementing all that into your life, and things started changing.
Yes, it sort of like became an obsession with like personal development. And eventually like that kind of backed off a little bit because it started to become like achieving, if that makes sense. And so I think like it's hard, and I know you guys have even talked about this on your podcast, but like I think a lot of people like we want to hustle, and I think there's a place for that, absolutely. But for me, it's been almost the opposite. It's been I'm learning how to rest. I'm learning how to breathe. I'm learning how to take time off. I'm learning how to stand up for myself. Because those things, when I started working on those things, my business, like it got so much better. My life experience got so much better. So I appreciate the hustle, and I absolutely believe in working hard. But sometimes for me, it's like knowing almost like when enough is enough, and like pushing myself, but not like what was happening is I was putting so much pressure on myself all the time. And what's so interesting about this is that the issue is the pressure in my head. And still to this day, if I'm putting too much pressure on myself, I'm angry at myself, feel like I could have done something better, I'll get a headache. I get a pressure headache.
Like a reminder.
Yeah, and so it's like a little like reminder of like, Danny, you better check yourself. And so it's just a constant like I don't want to use the word battle. It sometimes feels like that, but just learning like almost how to conquer myself, if that makes sense, but not push myself too hard. Like I don't have to conquer the world. Like, and one thing that I really want to say that I've only really realized in the last year is when I say life purpose, I think a lot of times we think it's like this big magical thing where we're changing the world. And for a long time, I had a really hard time being just a designer. I would say it like that. I'm just a designer. And people would say, you're not just a designer. Because I felt like I had to be like a life coach, or I had to like change the world. And I think one person said to me one time, like, did you know that your life purpose could literally be like having a baby? Yeah. Like being a mom, like that could be a life purpose. And I don't say that like it's a little thing, but I just think I was never thinking of it like that, because the stress, a lot of the pressure I was putting on myself is like, I have to figure out life. Like I have to like own it, and I have to, And I think that for me, it's being okay with where I'm at and stepping away from the hustle. Like I will work hard, don't get me wrong, I will work hard, but there's a time and a place for that for me.
We talked about that.
Yeah, but and there's a balance to everything, right?
Totally.
And everybody hustle is different. Like you apparently found your gift. You're walking your true path, and I talk about that a lot. And like your capacity is not the same with mine. Your path is not the same as mine. So it is a balance, and everybody hustle. Yeah, we talk about hustle and all that all the time, but my hustle is different than everybody else's.
Yes.
But I also have a balance in my life. Like I know when to rest. I know when to slow down. I know when to take care of myself.
I did not.
But that's
I had
the
to
thing.
learn it the hard way.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did too.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I did too. But that goes along with knowing your path and learning yourself and loving yourself, like how you were just talking about, and finding all these things about yourself. Right. Yeah. Once we get to that point, then everything does start to fall in line.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a big lesson. I mean, it was by far the scariest thing I've ever been through, but I would not take it back because I was not okay. Like, I don't know how else to say that. Like, I was emotionally not okay. Like, I almost didn't want to be here anymore. Like, it was too much. Like, just carrying life and like trying to make it all the time. Like, it was just too much. And then when I started, working on all this stuff and healing, it was like I found actual joy. Like, I had never known what that was. Like, I didn't know what joy was. I didn't know what it felt like. And I remember somebody asking me like 4 or 5 years ago, like, what do you do for fun? And I'm like, fun? Like, I don't even know how to do that because it was always like achieve and like do more and be successful and make your parents proud and prove so-and-so wrong. And so, I was just pushing myself to the point of exhaustion. And so this year I focused on working less and almost putting the majority of my effort into my self-care. Like, and those words are like so overused, but I mean, like, I don't mean like bubble baths or like getting my nails done. I mean like internal work, which is really
the real work,
really hard and really scary, but has
you're
been
facing
so
those
beneficial.
demons. I mean, we all have childhood trauma. I mean, I feel like I've met amazing people, especially just on this podcast, that I'm like shocked to hear, and it's like, why am I shocked? Because we all come from our parents, the background of like, quitters don't win, and don't be a loser, and don't do this, and don't quit,
or do better than me,
do better, and you have to do good in school, and you have to eat all your food. And like, now people are dealing with obesity, people are dealing with being a failure, the everybody's a winner now, like, and it's like, well, no, like, we need to face that when you fail, it's okay. Now get your butt back up and try again, or
absolutely,
it's, you're not failing, you're learning a lesson, you're learning experience. Like, and I now tell my kids that all the time, like, I'm a hot mess, like, it's okay, like, I want you to try something. If you don't like it, try something else. Just don't give up. Don't give up. Find your dream. Not everybody can get out as a childhood and know what they want to do in life, and that's okay. And that's the sad part, is like, we were raised by parents that didn't know any better, but just to push, and then now we all have childhood trauma.
And
entrepreneurs,
they mean well. Like, our parents like don't want
know
us to experience the same things that they experience, so they do whatever they can to keep you. But it's so funny because like my mom, she didn't want me to be like her. She didn't want me to make the same mistakes. And you want to know what? I made all the same mistakes. Because it was drilled into me. Like, I don't say this to blame her, but like, it was drilled into me, like, don't do this and don't do this because I did it. And it's like, but all you've modeled to me is this. So the only thing I know how to do is that. But, I had to learn that. Like, I had to make those same mistakes and then learn how to forgive myself. you know?
I think it's good to share like your experiences. You know, my mom would say, "Don't have kids young." Well, we did that. But no, I think it's good to share. Like,
Of course,
this
yeah.
is what I went through. Now, maybe you won't. I don't know, but I think it's a great story to tell.
Absolutely.
You know,
Right.
and these are other options. Like, I wish I would have known about so much. You know, all the way down to like having a business, opening a business, and how to do taxes, for God's
Oh
sakes.
my gosh,
and how the
my
benefit
nightmare.
it is versus like hiding everything and not trying to tell the government you make money.
Yeah.
That's such a key thing. I wish my parents had taught me some stuff. You know,
Yes.
and I think that's why we're blessed. We have a voice now, and we're able to teach people that
Yeah.
it's okay to be fucked
Yeah.
up.
Yes.
You know, the
We're all fucked up.
Work in progress. Be
No.
a work in
No
progress.
matter how hard your parents tried, you're most likely a little fucked up. It's just the way it is.
It is. I mean, life is hard.
Yeah.
What is it? Life's not hard, but it's simple. What do you always say? Life is.
Life is simple, not easy.
Yeah. So, you know, it's hard because, you know, you want to be the most successful. You want to be this. You want to be that. But like he said, we're not all on the same path.
No.
Right.
And we have to find that lane. And
And
I love hearing that you are now working on your inner self. I know it's a forever journey, because even when you feel good, there's going to be days you don't.
Right.
And that's going to affect the
Totally.
creativity. And I wish we just had more compassion for that.
I always joke, like, old Danny is here today.
Yeah.
Like, things that you feel like you've healed, that you've worked on, like, come to the surface.
Isn't
and
it
you're like, didn't I?
frustrating?
Like, I thought I
fixed this.
handled this. But it's just a reminder of, like, how far I've come.
Right.
Like, I still have days where I'm, like, super anxious or sad or very worried of, like, blowing some small situation into a big situation, you know, things like that. And it's like, okay, Danny, like,
Do you feel it's the childhood
Oh,
Danny?
1000%.
It's you have to tell her, like, you're
yes,
good enough.
you're fine. Like, everything's
I got
fine.
you.
Yeah, I sometimes like do a visualization where like I just like hold little me, like 4-year-old me, and it's like so therapeutic. Like, it's so nice because all your inner child needs is to be like loved and talked to.
Accepted.
Absolutely. Because we all just, anytime we get triggered, like we go back to being our kids.
The sad part, I feel bad for those that don't realize that is something that we deal with, and everybody I think deals with it, and denial. Like, no, I don't have that issue, or I'm fine.
my gosh,
And
yeah.
having to be successful and overachiever, and it's like, you know, it's really sad to watch it because it's
Yes.
like, you know, you hope that they figure it out eventually.
Well, a huge part of the healing for me has been like recognizing that I have my own shit. And so a lot of times, like, if something's going wrong, like I was mentioning the thing about like a client is not paying me, it's like they suck, like they're not paying me, like blah 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 blah. But then I realized like it's actually like more me. Like, you know, like sometimes you just have to be like, oh, I did do that. Like, if I would have done this differently, then, you know. So it's just and that's hard, like our ego, like we don't, and the more awareness you can develop, like the better like relationships and just life experience in general that you'll have if you can really like look at your own stuff and be like, oh, like I am a little this or I am a little that, but don't judge it. It doesn't have to like mean anything about you just because like you're a little selfish sometimes or you're a little, oh, I'm so sorry. Bam. That's okay. Like you don't have to judge yourself for being that, you know?
It helps you also understand others, I think. When you realize, oh shit, like I'm a mess, okay,
Yeah.
and this is how I healed, and then you look at someone else, you're like, I know what's wrong.
Yeah.
you're
And they'll
gonna
get
be
there.
fine.
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
like,
yes,
and you
yes.
don't take it as personal. I
Exactly.
think that's the key part.
Oh my gosh, that's like the biggest thing is not taking it
Hard,
personal.
especially as an artist, we
man.
wear our hearts on our sleeve.
Yes.
No, and we do,
our-
and I want people to also know, like, because I don't know how old you are, but you look
I'm
pretty
31.
young. You're 31. Yeah, okay, you're
Yeah.
young. You're a baby. You're a baby. But it's great that you know
We're
you
like the
figure.
same age.
You, where's my laugh track? I have a laugh track in here somewhere. Anyways,
Where's that paint pole?
he's stupid. But it's great that you figured all this out at a young age, because I want people to know that it's never too late to figure it out, right? Because I'm 51, and I think I've told my story a few times. I'm 51, and this year is probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. Not saying like having my kids wasn't happy and all that, right? Those are great moments that, you know, obviously we'll never forget.
The inner
but
self
the inner self happiness is this year was the first year I've ever felt that. Over the last couple of years, I was in your situation, which where I didn't want to be here. Like, not to say I had these like suicidal thoughts, but
totally.
like I told you
If
this
I didn't
before.
wake up, I'd be fine.
It didn't feel good.
Like, if I didn't wake up, I would be totally fine.
The way I explain
Like-
it is like I didn't want to commit suicide, but I started to understand why people did. Does that
Right.
make
Yeah.
sense? Like I was
Oh,
kind of like always
100%.
super judgmental of that. I was
100%.
like, how could you do that? Blah blah blah.
100%.
And then one day, like after getting diagnosed, I was just like, oh,
You right.
Like,
you go
I
through
get
stuff
it.
and you get
Yeah.
why. No, I totally understand that as well. And I had those thoughts. I for a long time I had those thoughts, and I mean that's why I kept saying that. Like, okay, I'm cool. If God don't wake me up today, I'm totally fine. Because growing up in entertainment, I always thought that I was just living this big life, right? But I wasn't happy inside. I was always pleasing people,
fake,
and
yeah.
it was super
It's a
fake.
facade.
I was always pleasing people. This year, when I say I finally found my happy space, I mean, I created all these boundaries that I'm so happy with. And I
feels so
have a
good.
right.
Feels so good.
I have these people. Look, I have a couple of friends that's now, and I know they're gonna listen to this, but that's okay. That they get mad at me because I have boundaries now, and it's
Yeah.
like I was talking to somebody like last week about this because I never understood when people used to say they didn't give a fuck, right? To me, it's like
No
it's
fucks.
not like that I don't care about you, but I really have zero fucks how you feel because
Yeah.
it's about me.
Yeah.
Like,
It has
you
to
know,
be about
right?
you.
It's like it's not
It's
like
a
I'm a
survival,
horrible
you know?
person, but
Yes.
I really have
But
zero
we all
fucks.
have our own life. Like there's
Yeah.
so much I want to do in my life, and I don't want anyone holding me back.
So if someone crosses my boundaries and I say
Mm-hmm.
no, it's like I have zero fucks on how you feel.
Yeah.
Like I'm not responsible for your emotions or your feelings or
Yes.
your happiness.
Yes.
So no, I don't care. Like,
Respectfully.
respectfully.
I was just joking with a friend about this the other day because I think when we say boundaries, like we think that you start setting boundaries and you figure it all out. But what's funny, there's no like black and white when it comes to boundaries. So like sometimes you're gonna push it too far and you
Yeah.
might be an asshole. Like, you know, like I may be trying to set boundaries with a friend who's calling me all the time and like dumping all of their stuff on me or whatever. And so I may not, you know, I may ignore them for 5 or 6 days. Like I may have taken it a little bit too far. But it's like you're figuring it out
Right.
like as you go. Like sometimes your boundary is going to be like really harsh or you're going to seem cold, but it's because for so long you've given too much of yourself. So now
Right.
you're like, ugh, like
Right.
I can't.
And you know
I gotta
that's where
refill
I'm
my,
at.
My cup, you know, I
Yes.
gotta refill
Like
it.
I just literally told somebody this last week. Like, look, my first 50 years of life, I've always been trying to please people. Like this next chapter of me, 51 and
Yeah,
on
you're gonna be
forward,
selfish and
it's
own
just
it.
me. I don't care about nothing else no more. I gave 50 years to the world.
Yeah.
Like it's about me now.
Yes, totally.
And I wish people would listen and find that out sooner.
Right.
Because when you start living your life for you, all the
it's so-
possibilities,
yeah,
all the
it's great.
amazing things happen.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm barely into that. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I barely am finding that, and I feel like I'm excited. You know, I have a lot of childhood trauma. Thankfully, you know, I'm at that point. Like, I don't give. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm fine. But I want to do stuff for inner work, like finding out. Like, I'm not in denial of my issues, but I'm wanting to figure out how to
Yeah.
get through it because you know it's still like the little Diana creeps back. I'm like, I thought I
Yeah.
put you away.
I think a lot of people too, like when you say childhood trauma, they think it has to be this big thing. Like
Oh, like
childhood
she got
trauma,
molested or she got hurt or
oh
she.
my gosh, like childhood trauma could be, you know, you said something and somebody was like, you're too loud, like you need to shut up. And then for the rest of your life, it's like you're
I'm
afraid to
loud.
speak up for yourself. Like that small little thing that you may not even remember now affects you for the rest of your life. That's a trauma.
Well, I was raised in a very strict household, and I wasn't able to be myself, and that's where I'm like, so I'm, you know, or I was told that too. You're too loud. You're too wild. You're too this, and so I was afraid to be me. And I'm finally like, no, this is me, y'all. Who's gonna accept me? Are my people?
Yeah.
If you don't like it, then you're not my
I'm
people,
still working on that.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
You got your own people. I got people that love me, and that's who I want to be around.
Yes. Yeah, that kind of reminds me, like, one thing that's been really in my face lately is, like, this fear of, like, making my own decisions. I think for, like, my whole life, it's like my parent, like, they just want to help me. Like, if you're listening, I'm not complaining about you. I love you. I love you. But, like, you know, they don't want me to experience the same things they went through. So sometimes, like, they'll judge me on, like, mistakes that I make or like decisions that I make. And so lately it's like I literally like went to visit my family last week and it was really hard because there was a lot of judgment about like, you know, where we're getting married and what we're doing for our wedding and what the bridesmaids are, like all these little things. And I really had to just kind of every few minutes, like maybe not every few minutes, that's a lot, but like a couple times a day, like go into the room and take some deep breaths, and I'm like, I am cool. I'm not making bad decisions. Like these are my decisions. Yeah. But that stuff will just like take you completely out of yourself. Like in a moment, like somebody will,
can I live my life?
Yeah, make a comment and it starts making me like question everything that I know about myself. It's like, oh, did I do that? Or did I make a mistake? And it's caused a lot of anxiety in my life. And so like really the last month or so, it's every day, it's like, I am confident in my decisions. Like I believe in myself. And even if I make a decision that's not the best decision, like I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to learn, because I always learn. Yeah. And I've always been fine. I've always survived.
Yeah, you always make it out. Okay. And that's what I think, like people give up so quickly, and it's like, man, if you'd just waited 2 more days or 4 more days.
But we just talked about this on our last podcast. There's no success without failure. So you have to make bad decisions.
It's not even failure.
Right,
like,
it's not.
Like the more I think about it, like it's really been impacting me lately. It's like nothing I've ever done that I thought was a mistake was a mistake. It's like a very freeing thing, because if I didn't make all those mistakes,
you wouldn't be who you are today.
It's like if you don't pay your electric bill and they shut it off, it's like you're going to learn that lesson. Like I would prefer to not learn lessons the hard way, but you're going to learn it and you're never going to do it again. Like if you don't pay your taxes and they come after you, like you're going to learn it.
So
it's
not the end of the world. You can anything can be fixed or
it's just like it's moving you to where you need to be. It's like a course correction.
It's creating that tough skin.
Yes, exactly.
So what's next for Danny Alexander?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question.
Not just interior design. This is for Danny. She's like,
So, like I said, yes, that is true. We're getting married in February.
You know, I'm a wedding planner.
I know, but we're getting married in Mexico, and
I'm
they
a
hook you
destination
up.
wedding planner as well.
Oh my gosh, they hook you up with a wedding planner. It's not been the greatest experience.
No, because she's a venue planner. She's not a Danny in, what's your husband's name again? Mason planner. She's the venue planner. So you need someone that's on your site too. Just saying.
I know.
Someone that's your best friend.
Little plug there. Little shameless plug.
She's got 2 fireplaces. I do weddings.
Yes.
We gotta have some kind of plugs in here.
Oh my gosh, the 2 fire. I'll never look at a fireplace without thinking of that ever again.
Oh, you're burned in her memory.
I don't know what's next. I mean,
do you want to travel?
Oh, definitely
Want
to travel.
Just kidding.
Oh my gosh, all these things, all the above. So like I said, like I've been sort of doing this healing work for the last couple of years, and it's been so impactful, like so life-changing, just like on another level. And for a couple of years, I did a little bit of coaching as well. I guess it was only a year, because
Coaching
I felt this. I was actually coaching weight loss, which is like not what I would choose to coach now. But when I was diagnosed, I had to lose a bunch of weight. I did it. It was like a life-changing thing for me. It was more than the weight. There was a lot of things going on. I was doing just personal development in general. And so the girl, one of my closest friends, her name is April. She was my coach when I did the program. And so then when we were done, she was like, when I was done, she's like, I really like love you and like your coaching skills. And she's like, you're coaching me. And I feel like I want to bring you on as like my mindset coach. So I wasn't teaching weight loss. I was like working with people on their mindset. And so I did that for like a year, and then I really missed design. And so I wanted to go back to design. So my point of saying all this is that I know that I am a good coach, and that I've learned a lot of things that I want to share with people. But I also love design, and I don't know how those things fit together right now. And it's also the healing work. Like I want to, do this healing work on people. And I've had all of these like spiritual gifts and been like an empath like ever since I was like teeny tiny. So I feel like all these pieces sort of fit together somehow. And I've put a lot of pressure on myself in the past to kind of figure out how, and I just don't think I'm going to know. So I'm just going to
but interior design, like he said as a topic, is that, when your space is aligned, whether it's feng shui or anything like that, when your space is aligned, it's the colors, it's the way it's designed, you feel better. I mean, when my house gets clean, I feel better.
I always use that as an example. Like, how do you, like, people are like, how is it emotional? I'm like, do you know how you feel when your house has been a mess for a week and then you clean it and you're just like,
even the
feels clean.
But even the simplest thing, what they first teach you is like make your bed first thing in the morning, right? Because it accomplishes 2 things. One, you accomplished a simple task, your first task of the day, so you can go to the next task. But then when you come home, you walk into a room or your bed, and it's together. You feel great. I make my bed every morning. I've done that for years.
I pretty much never make my bed. I'm just going to out myself, like ever.
Oh, wow.
It probably drives Mason insane. Like he's just like.
Well, my bed has to be made.
I'm half and half. See, my husband's not the neatest person, so I've picked my battles with certain things,
Yes.
and so like sometimes those things just I'm like,
Whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
There's
But
laundry
some
on the
people, like
floor.
my dad's
Okay.
like that, like no matter what, like he could clean nothing in the house,
It's a
but like the
military.
bed is always made.
My bed, and that's the first thing I do in the morning. I take it back. I go make my coffee. As my coffee's getting made, I go make my bed, and that has to be made.
Maybe I should
Even
start
when I get out the
implementing that.
shower, like I have to, my bed has to be made so I can lay my clothes out and everything on the bed to where I'm taking with me. That has to be done.
Gotcha.
Like,
yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I do feel like clients have been brought to me lately that are maybe going through something emotional. Like it's so interesting like how that happens, or maybe they're struggling with like a disease or like bad health or something, and so like I'm able to like do the healing work on them or share, like maybe give them the information of my mentor, whatever. Like I think that everybody that you work with, like we get so caught up on like, oh, well, they didn't want to work with me or whatever. It's like the people that are supposed to work with you
Yeah.
will work with you. And it's like the hardest thing to accept. Like we take it personally. Like people tell me all the time, like my pricing's too high. Like we all are going to hear that stuff. You know, I'm sure you hear that all the time.
I think that is where an area I do not struggle with is feeling that way, because I feel like I said, our people are our people.
Yeah.
And I've realized that I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna make my rent. I'm gonna pay for my bills. I'm gonna eat today. Like I feel
Yes,
that,
totally.
and I'm okay. So I want to work with people that want to work with me.
Yeah.
Now pricing, y'all, like you're not paying for this very moment. You're paying for the experience.
Yes.
What we went through to go to school.
Oh my gosh,
all
yeah.
that years of us learning, and that's why we are where we are. Now you can take the chance and go hire someone that's less, and hopefully
Yeah.
it works out. But then you've seen those memes where they say
Yeah.
what you want and what you got,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
you didn't want to
Yeah.
pay the price.
Facts.
And I know for me, I'm willing to make payment plans. Like I'm willing to work
Yeah.
with you if you really want to work with me. I'm gonna work with you.
Yes.
But do I deserve my price? Yes. So I feel like you should stick to guns. But you are working. I don't know if you realize it, but when you are meeting your clients and you're hearing the stories, same thing with my brides, you're already healing work.
Oh, yeah.
You already incorporated that. Maybe you don't realize it.
It's true.
You don't
Yeah.
realize it, but you are. You already, because people are walking away either feeling different about themselves, feeling great about their space, and if they don't hire you, they still got a nugget from you. And
Yes.
you planted a seed.
I
So
think-
you're an amazing spiritual leader.
Thank you. That it goes back to that life purpose thing. It's like it doesn't always have to be this big thing. Like sometimes your presence is enough. But what I was going to say about pricing is that somebody, like probably a couple months ago, said, you're really expensive. And at first I was like taking that in like it was a really bad thing. And then I started thinking about it. And I was like, you know what? That actually feels really good. Like I'm
Right.
expensive, because I think that when somebody's paying you to do a service like this that's so emotional, which by the way, most people do not know how much it takes, are like, but so you're going to charge this much to choose furniture for me. It's like, I wish that's all I was doing. I don't really, but it's like, it takes hours and hours and hours of emotional effort. It's like, I am not going to put something in your space until it's perfect.
Yeah.
And so that comes at a cost. And also you're working with people, you're managing the people. And so I tell people, like, I want the price to stretch you a little bit out of your comfort zone, because it is an investment.
Yes.
It not just in your space, but it means a lot for somebody to invest in a service, especially for filling their home. So I want it to stretch you a little bit. I want it to scare you a little bit. Do I want it to like put you into debt? No, absolutely not. And if we're not a right match, we're not a right match. Like that's why I get on the phone with people before we even meet, and we figure out like, are we a good fit? But I also, like, I'm owning, like, I'm expensive. And I'm actually, comparatively to a lot of people, I'm actually not, especially
And you give
based
options.
on
Like,
the
here's the
experience
package
I'm
A,
giving.
package B, package C. What fits your budget?
Exactly.
And I like that. I went on your website.
Yeah. Yeah, and I designed it that way because I want to work with people who maybe don't have the money.
But they really want to
But
work
they,
with you.
and you know what? It's like sometimes we make judgments. I'm sure you do this too. Like we can't help it. Like as humans, we make judgments, but we'll decide like, oh, they can't afford it. I have people who I think can't afford me, like based on their home or based on whatever. And they are the ones that it means so much to them. Like they pay for it and it means so, like, it's like they're excited. They're like almost crying when we first meet because they're so excited because it just means like so much more. And so, yeah, I want it to like stretch people just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like if I've ever paid for a coach, it was the scariest shit ever. I was like, I owe you thousands of dollars. Like,
Yeah.
I owe you thousands. Like, it's very scary, but it also feels really good to like do something for yourself like that. Like I always say that like my workouts, like I always joke, like my workouts are paid for. Like my healthy food is paid for because those things are investments in myself. And so I think about that with design. It's like your money is going to come back to you,
and they're gonna respect and honor that space more than if you just because she doesn't go to TJ Maxx, y'all. She's not like gonna go and like half-assed stuff. This is like you're spending hours. You have catalogs or internet sources that you're having to go through and having to pick that perfect piece, measurements. There's so much to it besides the education, besides the experience that you're and then just owning a business here in California is ridiculously priced in taxes and all these programs and I'm sure you have to have like different software that you use for design.
Absolutely,
and it's a yearly subscription that you're paying for, and your CRMs and if you're staffing people, like they don't see that part. And the people that respect that and whether they're just they're in the affordability category or they're the ones that are like high end, doesn't matter. They're still providing that amazing untouchable service that most people don't give, and people don't have that ethic anymore. So you're giving that ethic because you're a perfectionist.
And I think it's hard, like when you own a business, you have to really like, I've been really working on this lately, like learning how to communicate your value. And I've been wondering lately, I'm getting on the phone with like 5 or 6 people a week to talk about my services, and some of the pushback that I get sometimes is like, well, it's expensive. And it's like, well, I must not have communicated the value because we don't know, people don't know when they hire me how many hours it takes. They don't know that it takes 14, 16 hours sometimes to put a room together, like from throughout the whole process. And you can't blame them for that. Like they don't know. Like when you hire a plumber, like I'm pretty sure plumbers don't work hourly, but it's like, oh, it's $50 an hour, but you don't know that it could be 5 hours. They, oh, well, I have to do this technical thing and I have to buy this. We don't know like what it takes. Like I don't know what it takes to plan a wedding. So if you're like, oh, it's going to be $10,000, I'm like, that's super expensive. I don't know. And so I think like when I hire a professional, I have to tell myself like when it feels expensive, I'm like, I actually have no idea what they're doing.
Now it's always good to price, to get multiple. I'm always that person. Like, give me multiple prices and explain to me what you're doing. Because wedding planning is like a full-time job. And you should start like at least a year out, if not more. So I always tell people that, do you have time to work at like a full-time job? It is a lot of work. I love doing it. I have all the contacts. I have vendor lists. Do you? Like you're literally looking for people when I have it. So you kind of save money, right? You save time. And that's what they don't realize. Like you're the one doing the shopping. They're just sitting back approving, yep, that's what I want. No, that's not what I don't want.
Exactly.
They don't have that outlet. You can't go to Ethan Allen or, these other furniture places and they're going to guide you. Which is, by the way, did you ever take your clients to other stores?
When I worked for that one store, I didn't.
No?
No.
Oh my God, I would do that sometimes.
That's so funny. But it was hard that I didn't.
There's a sofa at this store that's going to be way better.
Well, one thing for me is like I love art, I love accessories, and they didn't have that stuff. So I never felt like I was able to put the finishing touches. So when I started my own business, I was like really excited about like one thing that I specialize in is like using color. Like a lot of people are really scared of using color. They don't want to overdo it. They don't want to underdo it. And so whenever I moved into my own business, I was like, this is really exciting because I can use color. Like it was more like, I don't want to use the word conservative furniture, but it was like a little bit more like less modern,
more neutrals,
more traditional, like a lot of like brown leather and things like that. And I'm very much like kind of in the opposite direction of that. And that doesn't mean I don't work on neutral spaces, but I think color is good because first of all, it brings energy to a space and excitement to a space. Like if I'm ever working on a home office, that's like probably one of my favorite things because you want to create like creative energy. Like you want it to feel good. You want it to maybe, like one thing I really love for offices is like, I want it to have different seating. Like I want to have a table and then I want to have a chair. Because if I'm going to be sitting in there all day, I'm going to have different moods. Like sometimes I'm going to want to sit in a chair by the window and sometimes I want to sit in a table. So these are all like important factors. I don't even remember where I was going with this exactly. But I like to pull people a little bit out of their comfort zone. Like just a little bit. Like I want to show you a piece that like you may not have done, but it looks so good.
And I tell you like, oh, this is the room I'm always in now.
Yes.
Tell me, and we can't talk too many details on this, but how fun was it designing the new space for Gabby and Tristan?
Oh my gosh, so fun. I'm really excited. I actually have no idea when they're opening, but I think it is soon.
I know when their grand opening is, but their soft opening.
I should probably figure out where that is so I can go.
I want to go. I told her, I was like, I need to know.
Have they had the soft opening?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I
was like, girl, somebody didn't tell me.
No,
I
not
gotta
yet.
be there.
Not yet. Yeah, definitely. I'm like, can you like give me a heads up? I have to like walk in there and take pictures and I'm so excited. Like,
it was so cool. Like this is a great example of like working with people. So Gabby, like a lot of times, like part of my job is like pulling out what people actually want. And so she was like, I want like space, but I also want nature. And she's like, I don't know what that means. And I'm like, I know what that means. And I remember her being like skeptical, like, there's no way you know what that means. And then I started sending her inspiration photos and she was like, oh my God. And then what's funny is it did end up space, but it completely like evolved. And at one point, like, I don't know if she told you this, but at one point, like, we were supposed to be ordering stuff. Like at that point, like it was way beyond like when we were supposed to be ordering stuff. And I had found some artwork and was like completely inspired. I stayed up all night working on a brand new design, and I was like, they're gonna kill me. Like, I'm gonna go in there, we're supposed to be ordering, they're gonna kill me. And I sat them down and I was like, I'm doing you a disservice. Like, this design that we've come up with is not the right thing. And I want to show you a new design, and I know that's probably upsetting because we're supposed to be ordering, but I need you to trust me because this space is what you want. And it kind of ended up being this like space hippie vibe. Like, I'm excited for everybody to see it. But it's like very colorful, and there's like, we got some local artists involved. And it was just really cool. Yeah, the mural is amazing.
Like, to so many levels.
I saw a piece.
You saw a snippet.
I saw a snippet of it. She let me in one night. And I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I call it space hippie.
And I was like, all the little touches. However, I gotta talk to you off record because I want to add florals. You know, I did it in the wings in the modern tomb. I gotta add something too.
Okay, yeah, you gotta like put your little beep, your part on.
But I gotta say, but I gotta say this. I gotta say this.
What do you gotta say?
Danny, you did it.
Oh,
we are over.
We are way over time.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Half, girl.
I actually forgot we were recording at one point, which I think is a good thing.
No, listen. The longest show we've done was an hour 13, and I forgot who that was with. You're at an hour 24 now.
Oh my God. I feel so honored to be your longest show. I hope you advertise it as that. Like, this girl did not stop talking.
And honestly, I don't want to stop because you was talking about some good stuff. Like,
well, maybe we'll do a second one day.
Oh, we have to. That's the whole point of doing a second one.
Let's record this part. Is that she literally was like, I don't think I have anything to say.
Yeah, she really did.
I don't know what I'm gonna say.
I was trying to prepare like mentally, and I'm like, if they ask me what I do, like, how do I say it? Like, I was like completely like in my head about like,
and it was so
like,
easy, right?
amazing.
What do I do? Like, I don't know what I do.
It was easy.
Once we got going, yeah.
Are we easy to talk to?
Yeah.
Cool.
And you make me laugh like the whole time. And your whole dynamic is hilarious. And he has 2 fireplaces, and
I'm a wedding planner.
we learned so much.
Oh, I'm a wedding planner. Don't forget that.
Technically 3 fireplaces, but we don't.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Anyways, thank you guys for joining the 1NELife podcast. But let's talk about it before we get out of here. If you guys want to be on the show, if you guys have something to vent about, talk about, come hang out with us. Give us a shout out. Call us at 747-999-8021. Again, 747-999-8021. Follow us on IG. Mine is 1NELife Brand. Diana's is Socialholic TV. And where can they reach you, Danny?
So my Instagram is interiors with an S and then 2 underscores, mind, body, soul.
I love it.
Love it. So you guys check her out. I did check out your IG and I loved it. I do love the colors because I am afraid of colors. Being a graphic designer, no, I know, but I love how you put it together.
We're bringing her to your house.
It's a science. It's
you
a
won't listen
balance.
to
You
me.
really have something against my house.
We can gang up on him for the crosses.
Okay.
Yeah, guys.
We can
We're gonna
decorate
do the
each
next
fireplace.
podcast for her at the house. We're gonna show her, telling him what I've been saying, so we can be on the same page. Anyways, peace out, y'all.
Can we do the office first? The studio here,
Yeah, I got that.
Oh.
That's nothing. I already know what I want.
Easy peasy.
Anyways, Danny, thank you for joining us today. We truly appreciate it. I loved your story. Congratulations on everything. Congratulations on your success. Congratulations, on your engagement.
Oh, thank you so much.
Congratulations on your healing journey. Yes. I really love that story. That was pretty amazing. But thank you
so much for having me.
Down the elevator.
We are out of here, you guys. We're going down to the lobby, y'all. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Everyone has a unique gift, and Mike and Diana, host of the 1NELife podcast, believe that most people don't know how to use their gifts or what they are. Mike and Diana want you to see things from a different perspective and be true to yourself. The One Life podcast unites the world through art, fashion, music, and film. It inspires, motivates, and creates positive energy, love, and compassion to all communities and creates an equal playing field for all. On the One Life podcast, they cover topics like building relationships, overcoming adversity, habits of healthy people, and much, much more. We only have one life to live. Be yourself and live your truth. Add the One Life podcast to your playlist. That's the number 1NELife. Available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and your favorite podcast platform.